One of the fastest ways to wind up behind bars when it comes to YouTube is by issuing direct threats, be it vitriolic videos targeting a race, law enforcement, or even specific private citizens. There have been many out there that have found themselves in precarious legal circumstances as a result of them issuing threats on this platform, and today we'll be looking at some of the most extreme cases. These are the threatening videos of YouTube. Today's video is sponsored by Keeps, and to begin the ad, let's look at my hair from some old videos back in 2020. As you can see, your boy was losing hair and losing it fast. I didn't want to go bald, so I decided to do something about my hair loss and got started with Keeps, and the results are pretty self-evident. Here's me at 6 months after starting Keeps, a year after starting, 2 years after starting, 3 years after starting, and then there's me now. 4 years after starting Keeps, and your boy is looking pretty solid. I'm confident in saying this hair would be quite depleted without Keeps. Keeps offers generic versions of the 2 FDA-approved hair loss products at a can't-beat price, and best of all, you skip the trip to the doctor's office and pharmacy. Keeps will set you up with a prescriber online and ship your prescription right to your front door. And in 4 to 6 months, you should start seeing results. What really more is there for me to say? I've been using Keeps for 4 years at this point. My hair's looking solid, and if you're a guy out there that's having some anxiety about hair loss, there's no better time than now to start Keeps. Hair loss stops with Keeps. You guys can go to www.keeps.com/wavy to take advantage of their special offer.
So, you want to try to bring me down? I will fucking kill you and your whole fucking family, alright? So go ahead and with me, alright? Try it.
The story of Joe Pacini is a tragic case involving a delusional man who apparently got into an altercation at an LA fitness gym. Following this, he would upload a bizarre series of obsessive and paranoid videos. This video series would end in bloodshed. Before we get into Joe, I want to give a little context on the person who Joe was obsessed with. 44-year-old female pop singer, Sara Bareilles. Sara is most notable for her 2013 hit, Brave. For whatever reason, Sara Bareilles in particular would become the fixation of 52-year-old Joe Pacini. Enter 52-year-old Joe from Clifton Heights, Pennsylvania. In his later adult years, Joe would develop an obsession with the singer-songwriter, to the point where he'd vocalize this in a delusional series of videos uploaded to YouTube. In a video published December 29th of 2014, Joe would refer to Sara as his twin flame and soulmate.
I am Sara Beth Bareilles', what we call twin flame soulmate. That means that twin flame soulmate means that God creates a soul, one soul, and separates it into one male and one female. I am the male version of Sara Beth Bareilles, and Sara Beth Bareilles is the female version. I happen to love Sara with all my heart, all my soul.
This by itself is kind of odd, but what he would say next is certainly a cause for concern, as Joe would go on to claim that the CIA and FBI had been hunting him down with the goal of murdering him. And, this video was like a plea for Sara's attention because he felt that Sara Bareilles was the only person that could get him out of this situation for whatever reason.
I'm now finally coming out on the end of December. And the reason why I'm doing this today is because the CIA and FBI has stepped up their efforts to kill me.
Joe would go on to explain that he was at one point facing 2 life sentences in prison, stating that 10 years ago he was locked up under false pretenses.
All of what the satanic people say out there about me is false. I've been locked up under false pretenses, both in prison. I had 2 lifetime prison sentences when I was sitting in prison cell 10 years ago.
I can't find any evidence of this being true.
I was also locked up into several insane asylums because of my immediate family. My mother, my sister, my 2 sisters served the beast, and I serve Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. You could dial 911 and say, oh my God, Joseph Anthony Pacini, he's a South Philly Mafia hitman. And although my family's affiliated with those people, I have nothing to do with it. I've had nothing to do with it for quite some time.
The delusional man also stated that his family was associated with Satan and that they were trying to stop him by getting him incarcerated. And it just gets crazier. Joe would then go on to claim that he had proof of him being gang stalked by the authorities. And this was due to an agent by the name of Matt Huffnall getting in contact with him, as apparently somebody had filed a report against Joe, and Matt Huffnall was the agent who reached out to question him. Like I explained earlier, there was some sort of situation that happened at the LA Fitness gym that Joe went to, and I would imagine that this, call is resulting because of whatever he did there. Joe was convinced that his twin flame Sarah needed to step up and tell the authorities that these charges were false, and if he was convicted, he was going to wind up dead or in prison. He says this many times in the video.
I'm purely innocent. All these charges against me are 100% false, but no one believes me. And this is where Sarah Beth Bareilles comes in, because if she has to step up to tell the world that these charges are false.
Joe would then play a recording of Matt's voicemail, in which the agent was asking to get in touch with Joe due to a report that was made at a local LA Fitness gym.
Hello, my name is Matt Huffnall. I'm a detective with Haverford Township PD. I'm trying to reach Joe Pacini concerning an incident report that was made at the LA Fitness here in Havertown. Joe, could you give me a call at your earliest convenience?
The message left by the detective seems rather innocuous and doesn't really fit the threatening description that, Joe had conveyed previously. Him saying that this was a targeted takedown against him. Whatever the case, this message convinced Joe that the authorities wanted him dead or in prison, and Joe was definitely not going back to prison if he ever went to prison in the first place.
Clearly, these guys want me dead or in prison, and there's no way in hell I'm going back to prison. No f***ing way. So, to the police, to the FBI, to the CIA agents, I'm not taking a fall for my family anymore, okay? This time, the Sicilian code is now busted. I'm opening my mouth right here, right now, at 5:37 p.m. on Monday, December 29th, 2014. This is my coming out party, okay? So, you want to try to bring me down? I will f***ing kill you and your whole family, all right? So go ahead and f*** with me, all right? Try it. Now, Sarah, this is up to you to come out and save me. You got probably 12 to 24 hours tops. I'm waiting on you.
On December 30th, 2014, Joe released another video that was an attempt to negotiate with the agent who had been trying to get in touch with him. Joe gave the agent 3 choices.
Your people destroyed me, tortured me, and continue to destroy me every day of every second. It all stops now. So, okay, here's your options. Think about these options carefully. Number 1, a win-win scenario in where you back off 100%, not 99.99%, but 100%, and compensate me materially for my losses over the past 15 years. The 2 other options are the lose-lose scenario in which you try to arrest me, okay? Now, consequently, there will be serious and irreversible catastrophic consequences that no one wants. That will be your fault completely, okay? There is no way that I'm going to allow anyone to take my freedom away again, okay? Believe it. It's a fact. So, I will immediately take out whomever attempts this on the spot. That means you'll have to kill me on the spot. This is the absolute worst of all options, okay? This is the absolute worst of all options. There will be a lot of bloodshed, a lot of eyewitnesses, and I'll probably go down in the gym. Now, number 3, you win, I lose. Just kill me. That's the easiest option. Have your people kill me. That's it. Put a gun to my head. Look me in the eye if you could find one man amongst your people, and just pull the trigger and murder me like the pigs that you are, okay?
In a third video from December 30th of 2014, Joe would make a phone call to Detective Matt Huffnall. This call went to the detective's voicemail. The man would then leave a message in which he highly advised the agent to watch his 2 previous YouTube videos before confronting him. And Joe would say he planned on going to the gym.
Hi, this is Detective Matt Huffnall. Please leave me a message including your name and number, and I'll return your call as soon as possible. Thank you.
Hey Matt, Joe Pacini here. It's 4:04 p.m. Listen, man, I'm heading out, so you're not going to be able to get back to me. I'll be in the gymnasium, but before you decide to load up your police wagon and come to the gym and arrest me, I highly recommend that you view the two messages, voicemail messages that I uploaded to my YouTube account. Simply go to youtube.com / type Joe Pacini in, and there are two messages there, one from yesterday and my answer response to today's conversation, which I guess we did not have. So that means our conversation is ended, and as far as I'm concerned, we're going to move on from there. So check out both those videos, and then before you do anything, respond to me, okay? I'm just going to the gym to work out, and hopefully there will be no problems. Check that out before you do anything, my man. Later.
After the threats were made, the police took this very seriously and secured an arrest warrant for Joe Pacini. But like Joe had said in his videos, he was not going back to prison. As Joe left the home in nearby Clifton Heights, the local authorities as well as police from reportedly 3 different departments were tailing him. As Pacini approached an intersection within Drexel Hill, the officers attempted to pull him over, but Joe was not going to comply. Instead, he put his vehicle into reverse and slammed into the front of the police cruiser that had been behind him, nearly injuring one of the officers in the process. The police weren't taking any chances with this man, and they immediately opened fire on Joe's vehicle, reportedly firing at least 22 shots. Joe was hit by police gunfire and died almost immediately. Joe was clearly suffering from a mental health crisis at the time of these events, but it's difficult to pinpoint exactly what caused this bizarre lashing out. The celebrity obsession, the vague, ominous references to the past and his family. What did it really all mean? It's important to note that Joe had a history of aggression, as it would later be reported that Pacini was arrested in 2005 for threatening his landlord. Additional details trying to explain his behavior would come in a testimony from Joe's former girlfriend, who would tell reporters that the man suffered from Huntington's disease, which was hereditary in his family. The man's father suffered from it as well and wound up committing suicide when Joe was 21 years old. While the disease is more commonly known for its physical effects on the body, it can present itself with mental and emotional symptoms akin to what one might find in a paranoid schizophrenic. Perhaps this disease contributed to Joe's mental degeneration. In regard to Joe's claims of going to prison in the past, I have found no such record of this. However, Joe did have prior arrests. One in 2005 for making terroristic threats, and another in 2009 for disorderly conduct. The first case was dismissed and the other was dropped after appeal. So he might have spent short periods of time in jail, but no clear evidence exists of a prison sentence. To speculate generally on Joe's case, I think this is what happened. Joe likely did get in some sort of verbal or physical altercation at the LA Fitness gym, as the detective suggested. Given his history of aggression and being arrested for stuff like this, it's not too unlikely. Secondly, it's clear that Joe suffered from some sort of mental disorder. And in his state of delusion, I simply think that the detectives coming after him for this and trying to investigate what happened at the LA Fitness, he thought they were trying to kill him or that he was being gang-stalked, when the actual reality of what happened was that he was simply being investigated for a minor potential crime. But again, this is all speculation on my behalf. In the wake of Joe's death and the connection of the man having a YouTube channel, many have flocked to the channel to watch the videos in an effort to get some insight as to what may have caused the tragic outburst that led to his death. Some would take to the internet to criticize the Upper Darby police force for what they saw as their aggressive behavior towards Joe and, I guess not handling him with kid gloves. He would still be alive if you guys didn't pursue him. This guy seems to have textbook paranoid schizophrenia involving cops. I know, let's go confront him heavily with our 0 hours of training in dealing with the mentally ill. Some even claim to have known the man and have left comments like this. I went to college with Joe and lived in Wildwood, New Jersey with him one summer in the early 80s. The man in this video was not the Joe Pacini that I knew and respected. Clearly, this was a disturbed man. May God have mercy on his soul, and may his memory be eternal in the hearts of those who loved him. The Joe Pacini story is pretty sad, as it's clear that he was paranoid, had some mental illnesses going on, and they were totally out of control. He had no one there to bring him back to earth, bring him back to like a calm state. He just seemed lonely and was reaching out to the void with these videos. Sadly, it ended in the man's death, and thankfully no one was injured, but that's the story of Joe Pacini. You would expect someone with a name like Chad Stoner to be a pretty chill and almost automatically likable dude. Well, despite the star of our next story sporting such a humorously based name, describing him as chill couldn't be more inaccurate. And in regards to likability, well, that just depends on who you ask, I guess. The saga that involves Chad Stoner is a mostly obscure collection of YouTube videos uploaded to the site by Chad and his girlfriend, Emily Winend. At the time, they were both in their late 20s. Chad was certainly no stranger to challenging his local government. In fact, many recordings of him doing exactly this exist on the internet. And this in principle is admirable. However, what you find is that Mr. Stoner is willing to take things beyond civil criticism, and he's willing to engage in threatening behavior. Behavior that would eventually lead him into getting into some serious shit. In a video from April 7th, 2016, Chad has an argument with some of the council members after being told not to record.
Also, there's no videoing in the meetings.
It's a public meeting.
What's that?
It's a public meeting.
It's a public meeting. You can't stop it.
How about that, huh? Imagine that.
Can I ask one question?
Sure.
This goes on every month. You don't even pay taxes in Caughnawaga Township.
I don't pay taxes in Caughnawaga Township.
Are you a property owner of Caughnawaga Township? Because there's no record of it.
Oh yeah? I pay rent, and therefore my rent goes to township taxes.
It would escalate about a month after this on May 3rd of 2016, when Chad would then again speak publicly and claim that the prior event was a prejudiced attack against him by the elected council members.
Last month's meeting, I tried to come in here and voice my opinion and ask a few questions, and in doing so, I got Mr. Brian Klinger here, who decided to take a blatant prejudiced attack against me by saying that I'm not welcome in here to speak my opinion because there's no record of me owning property in this township. And I don't know why you seem to think that you had the right to sit here at this table and belittle me and harass me with your vulgar statements that you did, but that was nothing but a sad example of the degradation that this township is falling ill to. I think it also shows that you're an infantile, egotistic megalomaniac with wild delusions of grandeur. And for that, I demand a written letter of apology from you.
You know, all of this because somebody questioned if it was right for him to be able to speak at these meetings because he wasn't allegedly a taxpayer for the township. After demanding this apology, Chad would have much more to say, adamantly stating that he wouldn't be intimidated by anybody on the board or their private security.
And you and your prejudiced attack, it doesn't scare me. If you think that it's going to make me go away, it's not. You're only going to drive me to go more. I'm not afraid of the two clowns that you have over here as your private security. And I will continue to come to these meetings as long as I have to keep addressing these issues. I'm willing to fight and die for my freedom. How far are you willing to go to try to take it?
And I don't think coming in here and bitching all the time is really appropriate.
Excuse me, that's actually against township decorum. Could you keep the profanity to a minimum?
I apologize.
Thank you.
Citizen Stoner seemed to be a stickler for the rules, and like the gadfly that he was, he would use those rules against anyone in a position of power for his own advantages. During this meeting, more information would be provided. Another stoner would speak up and threaten to turn things into a civil matter due to a burn ordinance which prohibited fires after dark, making it illegal to grill at night.
Right now, the board is currently telling citizens that they cannot cook on a grill after dark by the burn ordinance. So I want a new burn ordinance by next meeting.
Later during the summer, on August 3rd of 2016, Stoner would be recorded in his most infuriated state yet. And what might have caused this state? Well, was it the board members' politics or the burn ordinance? Nope. This was something as inconsequential as a microphone. At one point during the meeting, council members enforced a rule which required all speakers to approach a microphone before speaking out loud. Unsurprisingly, Chad would take issue with this courteous request, seeing it as arbitrary. This would turn into an argument between Chad and the board members, as the man refused to approach the microphone and would speak out of turn.
Hold on a
We
minute.
put the microphone up there for a reason, and that
What is the reason? That's what I just asked.
We want everyone to go to the microphone.
Why?
What's your point?
I'm asking.
Mr. Stoner, combative as always, refused to approach the mic and podium and would continue to loudly lambast the proposition.
I'll make a suggestion.
No, public comment is not over. You cannot supersede my public comment after the meeting has
I think
already
we
started.
can.
No, you can't. I will not allow you to continue on. You better call your jackbooted thugs and have them get over here.
At this time, we're going to take a recess for 10 minutes.
Chad got so riled up that local police would be called to the scene. Chad would argue with the officer when he arrived and was eventually detained as he refused to go outside to talk.
Chad, step outside with me.
You tell me why you want to talk first.
I want to talk to you about you causing a disturbance in here.
How am I causing a disturbance?
We got a call about you causing a disturbance. I want to talk to you about it outside.
I'm not causing a disturbance. Can you tell me what crime I've committed?
Disorderly conduct.
Oh yeah, and how's that?
I got to call you.
Am I being arrested for it?
Come outside and talk to
Am
me.
I being arrested for it?
At this point, yeah, you are.
All right, let's go.
It would later be revealed that while he was being detained, Chad Stoner would issue what could be perceived as a threat to the officer. This reportedly being, quote, "You know that safety contingency plan? You're gonna need it." Allegedly referring to the flyers posted around the township center that instructed readers on what to do when there was an active shooter. One day later, on August 4th of 2016, the incensed Stoner, now free from jail, would return to town hall with his girlfriend, Emily Winand. Emily would record this interaction.
And a nice view of your butt.
Oh yeah? Luann. I need to speak to her. Is that the microphone that caused all the trouble?
That's the microphone.
Not even hooked up.
Not, well, it's wireless.
Oh yeah? It wasn't hooked up yesterday either.
It wasn't turned on yesterday.
Oh yeah, it was. I checked
No, it wasn't.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't turned on the whole time I was here, and it wasn't turned on the whole time they were here.
The clerk there was already pretty familiar with Mr. Stoner, and the video shows that after Chad arrives, he wants to issue a complaint, a formal one at that.
No.
Oh, okay.
I want this one on there.
Okay.
Official corruption between the Northern Regionals and Loretta Wilhide.
Now wait.
Yep.
Okay.
And Loretta's Wilhide's clear and present prejudicial attacks that she is taking upon me.
Now, during this exchange, Mr. Stoner would issue what was believed by authorities at the time to have been a veiled threat. During this confrontation, Chad muttered that Houston, Texas is going to turn into Conewago Township. He would later specify that Houston, Texas is where they shot all them cops.
I have a feeling, now this is just my personal belief, I think if she continues to act in the way that she is, I think Houston, Texas is going to turn into Conewago Township.
I'm not asking.
That's where they shot all them cops.
The obvious thought here is like, all right, Chad, are you insinuating that you're about to shoot some cops in the town here or what? Given the reputation of Mr. Stoner, city officials took this very seriously and alerted authorities. Chad Stoner and his girlfriend would be arrested for these alleged threats on August 5th of 2016. During the arrest, in a fit of anger, Mr. Stoner reportedly addressed the arresting detective, claiming that, quote, his days were numbered. While searching the Stoner house, officers would find within his safe a stack of notes that included the names and addresses of Northern Regional officers, including details about their significant others and their children. Also in Stoner's possession were multiple firearms, including a Winchester Model 70 .270 caliber rifle, a Remington 700 .300 caliber rifle, and a Budweiser limited edition of a Remington 30-06 rifle. Stoner was also accused of possessing a Smith & Wesson manufactured AR-15, and he was accused of obtaining multiple armor-piercing rounds of ammunition from the state of Arizona. It's alleged that Emily attempted to hide an AR-15 rifle from FBI agents while they were searching the premises. And all those guns are totally legal, by the way, but what I haven't mentioned is the fact that Chad Stoner is actually a felon. which means he can't possess firearms. The video where Chad confronts the town hall clerk would be uploaded on August 10th of 2016, which made things worse as the threat would be publicized for everyone to see. It's curious as to why they would upload this. Maybe the two thought that it would allow some sort of transparency on their side and give full context, and maybe the public would side with them. But it did the exact opposite and made Chad look kind of crazy. Chad would be charged with conspiracy and transmitting an interstate communication containing a threat to injure police officers and officials of the Conewago Township and possessing an AK-47 semi-automatic weapon illegally. Now you'd think that Mr. Stoner would maybe lay low for a bit and keep calm during all of this, but no. While awaiting trial when Chad was in jail, he would allegedly send a letter to his girlfriend instructing her to buy as many, quote, cop killer, unquote, bullets as she could because they were going to need them for whatever reason. This resulted in more charges being added to Chad. The uploaded footage from Emily's YouTube channel would be used as evidence against him along with other documents and recordings as well. During the trial, it would be revealed that the Conewago Township officials had increased their security measures in fear of what Chad was capable of. This included installing cameras and electric buzzers, as well as having officials park in a locked parking lot. The 3 township supervisors also started carrying handguns for protection, and the township also made plans to install bulletproof glass at the transaction window. The trial only lasted 3 days, and on December 5th of 2017, Chad Stoner would be found guilty of transmitting a threat over the internet, conspiracy to commit that offense, and 2 counts of mailing threatening communications for writing threatening statements about the police and letters to his girlfriend. He would later be sentenced to 12.5 years in prison on August 30th of 2018. Emily would end up pleading guilty on October 10th of 2017 to conspiracy and obstruction of justice, and she was sentenced to serve 57 months in federal prison plus 2 years of supervised release. During court, she would publicly apologize, stating, quote, "I didn't really grasp the severity of the circumstances. I now understand why I'm here today. We didn't conduct ourselves the way we should have." The average person out there believes that you can pretty much just say whatever you want on the internet without any sort of recourse. However, much like how screaming fire in a crowded building isn't protected by free speech, issuing alarming statements online can also land you in a world of trouble. Take Latasha Ned, for example, a woman who had no idea that what she was saying in a YouTube video could lead her being put into handcuffs. In September of 2015, Latasha Ned, a Black Lives Matter activist who went by the name Empress Segment and Third Eye Empress Segment, was seen in a video uploaded to YouTube that appeared to be a call to action of sorts against white people. In the video, she declared that it was, quote, "open season on crackers."
It's open season on the cracker. We've had enough, and we won't take this anymore. They have been killing us. They've been slaughtering us. They've been taking our children. They've been putting our men in prisons. Our time is now. They f with the last that they need to f with.
She at one point would stand up, revealing that she had in her hand a machete and what appears to be a handgun, proclaiming that white people need to protect themselves and issuing this statement.
You need to protect your motherfucking selves because we coming for you. We coming for all you motherfuckers and all the descendants of you motherfuckers. You're living off a stolen inheritance. You're living off the blood, sweat, and tears of blacks. And we're not going to take it anymore. We want our reciprocity, and we want blood for blood. It's open season on a motherfucking cracker in this bitch. Let's get it.
This would not be the only video the woman featured in, as Segment would be in a series of videos. She would reportedly suggest in a later video that people should walk up to untrained police and steal their weapons.
Start walking up on these untrained and stealing their weapons.
Now, unsurprisingly, this bombastic video would make waves online, and not only did it catch the media and the public's attention, it got the attention of local police. Police would pinpoint Latasha's location, that being in Clayton County, Georgia. She actually only lived about 1.5 miles away from her local police station. The U.S. Marshal Service, FBI, as well as local and state police swarmed her house, removing her and arresting her while she was actually watching the local news coverage of her situation on television. While being arrested, the media was on the scene, and Latasha was very outspoken about her protest against being handcuffed and arrested.
I've seen worse on YouTube, and all I did was say defend yourself against people that want to kill us.
That's all. I never said anything more than that.
Said take over police stations.
Come on, on a YouTube channel?
During her arrest, Latasha claimed that she was totally harmless and, she never said that she was going to kill police officers, which was technically true, but nonetheless, she was charged with making terroristic threats and transmitting those threats through social media. In a hearing on September 25th of 2015, a judge would reveal to Latasha that on top of her prior charges, she was also bizarrely enough being charged with battery and cruelty to children. A recording of the judge delivering these allegations exists, and Latasha's body language telegraphs quite a bit of confusion and disbelief to these charges, to say the least.
Ms. Ned has also alleged that you are charged with the state offense of battery and that on or about the 20th day of September 2015 at 7124 South Lake Parkway, apartment H4 in the city of Morrow, Clayton County, Georgia, that you intentionally and without authority made physical contact of an unwanted nature to the victim, a 14-year-old, which caused her to have visible injuries. That you did hit her multiple times with a belt and computer cord with your hands and fists, causing her to have bruising and swelling to her lower back, buttocks, and upper legs.
According to a publication called the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, it would later be specified by police that she was accused of beating a friend's child. Tabling those allegations for the moment, let's refocus on the situation regarding her alleged threats. Apparently, while in jail, Latasha would send a message by phone which she referred to as, quote, behind enemy lines. This was reportedly uploaded onto her YouTube and Instagram accounts while she was still behind bars. In this message, she continued to say that people needed to rise up and defend themselves.
It's not about hating anybody else. It's about loving ourselves. And it seems to always be something wrong when black people want to love and uplift and enlighten and empower ourselves. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Black people, it's time to rise up. Children of the sun, it's time to rise up. The atrocities that are being committed amongst our people, the injustices can go on no more.
Later, while in court, Judge Wanda Dallas would lambaste Latasha, lecturing the activist, telling her that all of this was doing nothing positive and she was only creating a divide with her messages.
You show 2 police officers and say it's open season on killing cracker cops. Does that fix the problems that we have in this country? Or does it add to the problems that we have in this country?
This case would be moved to a superior court. However, around this time, Latasha would get a break as she was granted a bond of $70,000 in October of 2015. Around this time, the media would also discover that Latasha's father worked for the police in Long Island. They would interview her dad, and he would say that this was a case of her daughter's message being selectively edited to make her look worse. And what does that even mean, taken out of context? Well, it's important to note that really only a small clip from Latasha's full video was being spread around the media. That clip only featured her infamous soundbite, of the woman saying,
"It's open season on the crack."
While the rest of the video isn't necessarily much better, seeing it in full allows one to take her threats with a bit of grain of salt, if you will. In the beginning portion of her video, her speech is more artistic in nature. Like there's one part where she's literally rapping in a poetic style. So the idea here is maybe this was actually protected speech because it was like artistic expression.
Enough is enough with this pussyfooting around with the mother cave beast. They've been coming for our throats. They've been coming for our lives. They're killing our women, saying that they committed suicide. They're killing our unarmed men for no reason at all, for petty crimes or nothing at all, for traffic stops, your tail light out and you getting killed. That's because there's a green light on you when you're melanated.
In a public statement, Latasha would later say that she at no point wanted to hurt or kill any police officers. And like her father did, she claimed that the message of her video was being taken out of context.
I maintain that I have the right to defend myself from these hate-filled rants from this group and their supporters. At no point did I ever want to kill or hurt law enforcement officers, and the unedited version of these videos will prove that fact.
More regarding this context would be revealed later, as apparently before Latasha had made the controversial video, she was in a Google Hangout chat and was being bombarded by racist trolls who had allegedly hacked into her chat room. It's said by Latasha that these trolls were making threats towards her life along with other just racist remarks. It's said that one troll even allegedly drove to her house and took photos of the property outside. Now this made Latasha Ned angry, so her story goes that in protest of her harassment from the alleged racists, she took to a video to rant about what had happened while also aggressively going off about the systematic oppression of her own people. According to Latasha, the War on Crackers video was all the result of a petty internet beef, and it was directed at trolls. She said it wasn't a call to action for, people to go to war with whites.
Can you see how people thought that was a threat?
Taken out of context, yes. I can see how that might sound that way.
What context makes it sound better?
I don't think that the context that I was being threatened, and that video specifically was being towards the people that were threatening me. So there's nothing that I could say to make it sound any better than that. When being threatened, when being called stereotypical names, racial slurs, and I responded. I don't hate white people, if that's what you're asking me, Megan. I don't hate white people. I hate injustice.
Gerald Griggs, the attorney representing Latasha, does a much better job explaining the situation than she does. In this interview, he provides additional details regarding the creation of the video that helped paint Latasha's actions in a more charitable light.
Well, here's what you have to understand, Megan. You have to take the video in context. You have to understand the threats that were made before the video, when she was having a Google Hangout chat and individuals infiltrated and hacked in and called her everything but a child of God. And in Georgia law, you have the very right to defend yourself, and that's exactly what she was doing. So we're not talking about this out of context. If someone hacks into your show and calls you everything under the sun, threatens to come to your house and then comes to your house, you would respond the same way, and that's exactly what my client did. That's what free speech allows her to do, and at that point she was defending herself. And here's where we beg to differ, Megan. If someone comes to your house and claims to be the police, if someone hacks into your Google account and shows you a picture of your house telling you, I'm coming for you, you lim-effing N-word, multiple times, calling you all kinds of racial epithets, monkey, and all those things are
That's on the tape that the court has. That's on the tape that the court has.
Yes, you see the individual, you see him laughing, you see him talking about her, you see all these things.
Now, curiously, when more information regarding the details of what led up to Latasha's viral clip came up, less media buzz would surround the story, and it was talked about less. And before you knew it, nobody was even, discussing updates regarding this once hot button issue. So what happened? Well, I think we can all agree that Latasha's video was cringe as fuck, whatever the context, but I think this may have been a bit of a witch hunt. And I'm fairly certain that the case and charges against Ned were dropped. She has no record of being convicted in court databases, and in the YouTube comments of her interview with Megyn Kelly, one curious user would ask, quote, I wish I could find out what the result in the verdict was in this case. And an account that appears to be her attorney, Gerald Griggs, replies by saying, quote, all charges dismissed. The members of rap group 508 Productions and YouTube channel 508 Mastermind would find themselves facing similar charges to Randy Ross. These charges came after they made a series of rap songs and music videos attacking their local police in Massachusetts. However, unlike Mr. Ross, this ragtag group of wannabe gangsters would find their work not protected by free speech laws. 508 Productions was a rap group from New Bedford, Massachusetts, 508 being the area code for that city. The 508 Mastermind channel was created on September 17th of 2009. It's hard to really tell who is who, but the leader of 508 goes by Mastermind. I believe this individual is 28-year-old Jason Foley. 24-year-old Matthew Ruffino also raps on songs produced by this channel, and the duo is accompanied by many unnamed group members as well. Mastermind refers to himself as Jason in the track, if you're wondering where I came up with a theory of him being named Jason.
Start with me, I'll just fuck up your face, man. No, not to fuck with Jason.
The rap music created by this motley crew of Caucasian MCs was absolute shit. But it's in that so bad that it's kind of good sort of way, if you know what I'm saying. Their first upload would come on the day of the channel's creation, September 17th of 2009. That video would take the form of Mastermind's Love Getting High. This roughshod video showcases the Pennsylvanian poet rapping over a beat that could be best described as something straight off of the old school RuneScape soundtrack.
Not my supply.
Like deadass, this sounds like some pulling up to Falador type beat. I mean, it kind of bumps though, like in a really based and scuffed way. Mastermind's Marijuana Masterpiece would be followed up with subsequent uploads showcasing the rhymer's prowess and penchant for all things illegal and criminal. Days later, the channel would upload Crime Fiend Freestyle. This video, which appears to have been recorded using the built-in webcam of a ThinkPad laptop, would feature Mastermind freestyling over different beats, while a masked associate slinks around in the background attempting to look menacing. In their freestyles, Mastermind would rap about stealing, selling drugs, and getting money.
Yo, niggas know what the fuck we be talking. We want money quick, so give us the money, bitch. If you don't give us that money shit and you come up with that funny shit, you get hit with a dozen clips. We thuggin', bitch.
On November 7th of 2009, the group would upload a music video, albeit poorly made, for their song We Grew Up At. In this video, the group would speak about growing up in the 508 and how tough it could be at times.
We all grew up in the 508, where you gotta hold on to everything you make. You gotta watch out for all the jakes and snakes, cause everyone's out just to scrape your plate.
In the music video, they show the members holding firearms and pointing them at the camera, all while poorly spliced in images of violence transition onto screen. They would continue to release music periodically, including one diss song about CDs, and a message to Mastermind's haters. In one song, he even momentarily forgets what race he is.
Do something, some real shit in the fucking game. You go against me, better spit some flame.
On November 16th of 2009, 508 Productions would upload their final music video, a song called Something to Say. In this video, the group would show images of masked men robbing convenience stores while rapping about shooting people. The ending of the song would have the group reenact a robbery, with the group crowding around a person pretending to beat him with bats and stabbing the person. Although this is the last video on their channel today, what you gotta know is that there actually used to be an additional video. That one being a music video called Watch For Me. And the reason that it's gone is the reason why we're talking about these numbskulls to begin with. In the now deleted music video Watch For Me, Michael Ruffino would rap about his frustration with police, as he had 2 prior encounters with them that led to an arrest and him being put on probation in 2004 for marijuana possession. The rapper makes threats and mentions his probation officer by name in the song. Ruffino would also go as far as to rap about a police trooper that pulled him over back in 2006 for driving with a suspended license. Again, Ruffino would recite the trooper's full name while showing a picture of a police cruiser, followed by the sound of a gunshot. While that's going on, Foley, who's alleged of editing the video and uploading it to YouTube and MySpace, is also seen throughout the recording rapping the lyrics, "Watch for me, cops gonna see." It wouldn't take long before the local police would find these threats against them, and less than 24 hours after the music video was made, both Ruffino and Foley were arrested, and this occurred on November 21st of 2009. Both were charged with witness intimidation, threats to commit a crime, and threats to use a firearm. Police would later say that the music video caused significant emotional distress for the probation officer as she worried for her life. Defense lawyers would defend their client's actions, stating that these weren't direct threats towards the ones named in the song. And like the Randy Ross case, they would argue that the lyrics within the rap single was protected by freedom of speech. Quote, "We have a couple of young, misguided, not very bright men posting a rap video on YouTube. The content of the video is misguided, offensive, but it's not criminal. However, the district attorney called bullshit. Quote, that, plain and simple, is a threat. That is not freedom of speech, that is a crime." Foley's mother would tell the Boston Globe that her son was no threat to anyone, and that Jason had hoped the music video would lead to a career opportunity in the entertainment business. He thought he was going to make it big one day. They didn't think anything was wrong with what they did. The court would decide that there was enough probable cause to hold what is called a dangerousness hearing, which is an arraignment that would decide if a defendant can be held without bail. Basically, this hearing can prove that, hey, these guys are dangerous and could cause harm if they are free. District Court ruled that the two would be held without bail. However, a superior court would overrule Foley's ruling due to him not having any prior criminal misgivings. He was given bail. I would like to mention here, court records show that the guns used in the music videos, they weren't real, they were just toys. Unlike Randy Ross, though, freedom of speech wouldn't protect these two Massachusetts men, more than likely due to the fact that the rappers used actual names in making the threats against the officers. Ruffino would eventually plead guilty in early 2010 to both witness intimidation and threats to commit a crime, and he was sentenced to serve 90 days in jail. Later that year, a trial would be held for Jason Foley, and he would be convicted in December of 2010. He was found guilty of both witness intimidation and making threats to commit a crime. The music video for the song Watch For Me would be taken off of their YouTube channel, and it has since been scrubbed from the internet. Foley would be sentenced to a year in jail and would be placed on 2 years supervised probation, during which he would not be allowed to use a computer or access the internet. Interestingly enough, even though it wasn't Foley who made the direct threats in the music, he would get more time, which was probably due to him being the one who edited and uploaded the videos. Plus, it was his channel. The 508 Productions 508 Mastermind channel sits abandoned and hasn't been touched for over 14 years. So if you're making threats on the internet, be it YouTube or any social media platforms, if you're showing your face, it's pretty likely that the feds are gonna find you. However, there's some out there that think you can get away with this stuff by posting anonymously. And I hate to break it to you, that's not the case, and even something like a YouTube comment can lead to you being visited by police. Take, for example, the case of 35-year-old David Swanson from Orem, Utah, who took to the comments of a few YouTube videos to lay out a variety of threats that the authorities would take very seriously, especially given that it was against the employees of YouTube. In an H3H3 podcast highlight video from September 5th of 2018 titled Logan Paul and KSI Copyright Takedown, David Swanson would appear in the comments, writing, quote, "The only thing that comes after the death of YouTube is a funeral for all the executives that were rightfully murdered." On December 6th of 2018, in a video reportedly titled, "What Happens If You Tell Google to Kill Itself?" David would make his presence known in the comments here as well, writing, quote, "Google, Amazon, Facebook, Twitter, all very happy to kill themselves by falling for leftist ideology, religion. Their only hope of not getting their executive team slaughtered by gun is to clean up their act and start following the spirit of the US Constitution." Swanson would continue making threats. On April 30th of 2019, he would show up in the comments section of a PewDiePie video titled "Ending the Subscribe to PewDiePie Meme." There he would write 2 comments. It's actually because the goons at YouTube think their ideology has won another victory. They see Pewds as someone that is moving further away from their religion they believe in, leftism, and bringing millions with him. I'm not saying YouTube employees need to die, but I know they are at least as evil as any of the worst groups in history, because their hearts are evil and they happen to be wielding the weapon of power of speech. They won't last much longer. Hey YouTube, you just lost your parent company $70 billion. See, I kept saying you guys were going to get what you deserve soon. Get woke, go broke. And when I visit your campus in 2 weeks, I'll be able to shoot any employees exiting from the convenience of my car, because the First Amendment allows me a right to do so. As you can see, David seemed to have quite the contempt for the internet video platform as well as other social media companies, to the point where he even threatened to show up to the YouTube headquarters. And with YouTube being on high alert ever since that shooting that occurred there in 2018, this threat was something that couldn't be ignored. May 14th of 2019, police had been made aware of David Swanson's comments, and on May 15th, they would show up at his house and interview him, where David would admit to writing the comments. During this interview, David claimed that when he said that he was going to shoot any employee exiting the building, he meant with a camera, not with a gun. Police would also ask David if he was familiar with the prior shooting at YouTube, you know, the one caused by Nassim Ogdam. David would admit to being familiar with the incident. Now, David could probably make a pretty good argument here about how his comment was just a big joke and it was a dumb mistake. But there was another issue, as David would admit to the authorities that 2 weeks after writing the comment in April, he had driven to the Bay Area of California with a firearm. The Bay Area, if you're not familiar with it, is located near the YouTube headquarters in San Bruno, California. So at one point he was very close to the YouTube campus with a loaded weapon. Definitely not a good look, and police now had probable cause to make an arrest. Swanson would then be arrested in Utah County and was charged with a second-degree felony for making terroristic threats. He would later be released on a bail of $100,000 on May 19th of 2019. YouTube would comment, quote, "Our number one priority is to protect the safety and welfare of everyone that works at YouTube. Our security team is aware of this threat and is working closely with law enforcement to monitor the situation." This man was facing some pretty serious time, especially regarding that second-degree felony charge. But tides would turn in his favor when in the courtroom. On October 1st of 2020, David Swanson would plead not guilty to the second-degree felony. And on December 16th of 2020, the case would be dismissed without prejudice. As dismissed without prejudice does mean that the charges could be filed once again if the prosecutor determines that they have more evidence. So, you never know, we might be seeing Mr. Swanson in the courtroom again. So it appears that Mr. Swanson had pretty much gotten away with making those comments directed at YouTube. We'll likely never know what Swanson planned to do in the Bay Area with that gun, but for now he's a free man, and yeah. However, I will say this, I bet he won't be partaking in any vitriolic threats underneath YouTube videos anymore, and if he does, then he's just really, really fucking dumb. An interesting topic of conversation when it comes to public threats is how they're handled when the threat is made from a creative perspective, you know, artistic. For example, a rap song. There's a lot of threats that are made within the rap genre, but how far can you really go? What about when the material of the song is centered around a controversial topic like mass shootings or school shootings? On February 19th, 2018, 23-year-old Randy Ross of Greece, New York would upload a music video for his song School Shooter. The title of the song implies that the lyrics are surrounding a bit of a taboo topic, let's just say. The song would start out with a bang as Randy would rap the lyrics, "N-words still be in school thinking they can sneak this. I'll show up at your lunch here, N-word, eat this."
Niggas still be in school thinking they can sneak this. I'll show up at your lunch here, nigga, eat this.
The chorus of the song goes, "I lay him down like a school shooter. I lay him down like a school shooter."
I lay him down like a school shooter. I lay him down like a school shooter. Hit my niggas for the yeah, hit my niggas for the drum. My niggas never had a job, so that's all my niggas know.
It's to note that after listening to the song, even though the title had a couple of verses revolve around school shootings, the song, in my opinion, is more of just like your generic, like, gangster rap, like, fucking, you know, we're in the trap type thing. It's not really, like, super, I don't know. It's not like a 4chan post. I think people are probably expecting this to be, like, don't show up to school tomorrow, but in, like, lyric form. No, this is just your, like, run-of-the-mill rap song. No schools are actually named in the rap. There's no specific threats being issued out in the lyrics. I mean, of course, there is the fact that, you know, I lay him down like a school shooter. The song is called School Shooter. It's concerning, but is it, though? In fact, Ross would later admit that although the song was written and recorded 6 months prior, he kind of rushed to make the music video, paying a friend $80 to record him. The case for such a sudden initiative was due to the national coverage for the Parkland, Florida shooting that had occurred on February 14th of 2018. Everyone's attention was on Parkland, and this was just not the right time to release such a song. The combination of the lyrics as well as the music video having footage of Randy rapping outside of Greece Arcadia High School, this combo would be a cause of concern for local officials. Now, Randy's music video, let's just say it wasn't very popular, and the few people that were listening to it were not the listeners that he wanted to have, because these listeners came with a badge and red and blue flashing lights in police cars. Yeah, the cops found it, and they didn't like it. Randy would write on Facebook, "My video has officially reached the police officials, and they have just come to my job and questioned me on everything I love. Please share my video before it gets removed." Due to the Parkland shooting, everyone seemed to be on high alert, and when concerned citizens found his music video, they called in a tip to the police, who then made the decision not to take any chances with this guy. The Greece Central School District comments, "We were made aware of the video by a resident who also contacted Greece police. We cooperated with their investigation and were recently notified that an arrest was made. The case is evidence that the community is heeding the advice of school leaders by observing, reporting, and following up on all suspicious activity. In the wake of the February 14th school shooting in Parkland, Florida, school districts have seen an uptick in calls to anonymous tip lines. Communities are banding together to do whatever it takes to keep our kids and schools safe. If you see something, say something. As a district, we are grateful to those who reported this video, and we appreciate the Greece Police Department for their continued partnership and proactive handling of this situation." After visiting Randy's place of employment, the authorities would make the decision on February 26 of 2018 to have Ross arrested and charged with making a terroristic threat, which is a Class D felony. The Greece police said, quote, "Ross's arrest is in connection with a YouTube video that he can be seen in saying and making terroristic threats on various school properties in the Greece School District. We take any threat seriously, especially as it relates to schools and school safety." While no school was mentioned specifically, the person in the video, Randy Ross, was seen at various properties. Then the lyrics within the song and the content of that video, it was alarming to us. There would be some debate from both sides, as the chief of police felt like this song was grounds for an arrest and took it as a threat. And the defense attorney for Randy Ross would simply argue that this was all artistic expression and was protected under the First Amendment of the United States Constitution.
He's a rapper. He did this with artistic value in mind, and that his speech is protected by the U.S. Constitution.
Randy would be held in jail on a $50,000 bond. Mr. Ross, who had run-ins with the law prior to this, once when he was a teenager, and the other just a year before for disorderly conduct, was perplexed about this entire situation. While in jail, Randy would tell the media that when officers had visited him at his place of employment, he expected to be questioned, but didn't think that he would get arrested. He would also go into more detail about how a song was never meant to be taken as a threat, or he was never trying to issue a threat, I should say. Ross would claim that the lyrics of his song School Shooter were all just within the framework of his rap persona, and it was him making generalized statements about, if you step to him, he's gonna take you down. Randy would even break down his chorus in the song, lay him down like a school shooter, by saying this: "It's a simile, a comparison using the word like or as." When asked what it meant to lay something down like a school shooter, Randy would answer, "Anything. You can lay down anything. I'm laying down my music." Randy's attorney was incredibly confident in this case. He felt that the police just had a knee-jerk reaction and Randy was getting the book thrown at him. He was in fact so confident that he had Randy Ross testify in front of a grand jury himself, which is typically not a good move. Randy would later luck out, as on March 9th of 2018, a grand jury would refuse to indict Mr. Ross on the felony charge of threatening to shoot up a school in his music video, and the rapper was free to go. After the ruling, the chief of police would state, quote, "While we are disappointed and disagree with that decision, we also respect the legal process that led to that result. We believe it was a proper charge and stand by our decision to make the arrest in this case." Now free from jail, Randy would say, quote, "I don't even want to drop any more music because I'm scared. I'm scared I'm gonna say something wrong." Randy would also apologize, stating, quote, "I want to say I'm sorry for whoever took it the wrong way and whoever maybe felt unsafe. I just want to say I'm sorry for whoever I impacted in a negative way. He was free of legal consequences, but sadly he lost his job as a result of this arrest. The silver lining to all of this, though, is that the controversy allowed Randy's music video to be seen by more people. It now sits at 54,000 views. Although at first hesitant, Randy Ross would continue to make music, taking advantage of his newfound fame in a music video from June of 2018 for his song Guantanamo Bay, which used news clips from his public arrest in the media. The verse begins with this: "Fuck a beat, I just beat a terrorist case." As of May of 2023, Randy Ross is still making music. One of the most bizarre stories surrounding YouTube threats is the case of AnonOperative 13, an anonymous related YouTube account that issued serious warnings to colleges, demanding immediate compliance or else. On April 26, 2012, a video was uploaded onto the AnonOperative 13 YouTube channel. This video consisted of a cybercrime threat against the University of Pittsburgh, titled "Anonymous Message to the University of Pittsburgh." The content was similar to that produced by Anonymous, a worldwide group of loosely affiliated hackers and social engineers known to compromise websites in the name of virtual vigilantism. Back in the early 2010s, Anonymous was very much prevalent, and I'm sure most of you remember the group. They operated by performing cybersecurity attacks and breaches on targets that they felt deserved it or were sort of betraying the trust of the public. Sometimes they just did it to fuck with people, but yeah.
We are Legion, we are anonymous.
In the video, a synthesized voice speaks, while visually a picture of the infamous Guy Fawkes mask from the film V for Vendetta is shown on screen. The anonymous voice reveals that they have several recorded phone calls between concerned students and campus IT staff, stating that their personal information was possibly attacked and leaked.
Message to the University of Pittsburgh. This message is directed towards the CS Department and Law Department of the University of Pittsburgh. We have several recorded phone calls between concerned students and campus IT stating that some of their information was attacked and possibly leaked.
The AnonOperative claimed that the college's cybersecurity department had dropped the ball and had put Pitt students at risk.
The entire CS department has done absolutely nothing to prevent and protect the students of your university.
As a result of these leaks, AnonOperative claimed that they now had access to the personal information of every student, including access to students' individual grades.
We now have obtained access to every student's password, username, email addresses, personal addresses, dorm room information, parental information, course information, payment information to include type of payment, amount paid, and all corresponding credit card information.
AnonOperative also claimed to have found arrest records on the servers of many supporters of the anonymous organization, and as a result of this, the mysterious entity claimed they would be taking action.
We found direct information leading to the arrests of several anonymous supporters. We will not tolerate this, and now you will be held accountable for those actions. We have allowed enough time for you to right the wrong, but you have failed. You will now pay for the jailing of innocent people, lying to the law enforcement, allowing the security of this information to go untreated, and saying nothing to the students of the University of Pittsburgh. We have taken the liberty to delete the vulnerable information so that it cannot be accessed by others. We would like you to simply apologize to your students, law enforcement, and professors in your homepage of your domain for a duration of no less than 15 days. If these are not met, we will have no choice but to release the information as we see fit.
The threats from this individual would be taken a step further, as an email from AnonOperative@gmail.com was sent to the University of Pittsburgh email address with a link to the video. In May, they would also reportedly post a comment underneath their video that went into more detail on what they wanted in this apology. Quote, "We are not going to release this information unless Pitt admins don't follow our very simple request. We are giving Pitt until Monday, May 6, 2012, and should remain posted for no less than 15 days. To help determine if this threat is real or not, we have posted very little and near useless information, but should prove our point. We also would like to mention that we have no ties with the current bomb threats, as we do not condone violence or harm to any person. This would directly violate our rules of engagement. Enjoy the information, and Pitt can stop the release of information. However, the morning of Monday." It's rather curious that the hacker is whinging on about students' information being leaked while simultaneously threatening to leak that very sensitive information he supposedly cares about. One comment under the video highlights this. "Hey guys, you better stop messing with the students or we're going to mess with the students." Looking further into the channel, one will find that this wasn't AnonOperative's first rodeo. In fact, there were several videos on the individual's page consisting of similar threats. One from February 28th of 2012, in which the potential cyber criminal threatens the company Alliance Computers in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. The operator claimed that the company wasn't protecting the personal information of their customers. And as a result of this perceived injustice, they wanted the company to fire their website admin as well as release their mistakes to the public on the website's index page, which would notify those affected.
Message to Alliance Computers HQ in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Go without security and protection. Due to your direct arrogance and questionable motives, we possess over 56,000 of your customers' names, address, phone numbers, account passwords and all company transactions, usernames, passwords and arbitrary data.
Another video produced by AnonOperative, which was posted merely 6 days before the Pittsburgh University video on April 20th, targeted the website zeptotraining.com. In this video, the anonymous activist exposes that the website's domain was vulnerable to cyber attacks and claimed that they had done nothing to protect their students. Similar to the prior videos, the operative reveals that they have access to tons of information, and if the company didn't publicize their mishaps, the information would have been leaked.
Message to Zepto Training. You have had numerous warnings that your domain has been vulnerable and you continue to do nothing to protect your students. We have obtained all 157 IDs, names, emails, contact information, addresses, course information. You will post your ignorance on the index page of your domain to inform your students and future students of your mishap, vulnerable information, and give each student the $500 balance toward the poor education that you offer. We will verify that our request has been met.
4 days after the Pittsburgh University threat, on April 30th of 2012, AnonOperative 13 would release another threat, this one against a different college. That being Georgia State University. Same format as usual. The uploader reveals that they have access to personal information like passwords and other vulnerable content that was taken through exploits against the university's poor security. Now, the difference between this one and the others is due to a bill that was being presented to the Senate at the time, which was called CISPA, standing for Cyber Intelligence Sharing and Protection Act. The bill was a proposed law which allowed for the sharing of internet traffic between the U.S. government and technology manufacturing companies, aiding the government in investigating cyber threats with the goal of protecting and securing networks against cyber attacks. The anonymous user seemed perturbed by this bill, and they threatened that if it was passed, the information they accumulated would all be released at once.
GC and SU Senate, rest assured, the 114.7 gigabytes of data that we have obtained will be kept safe and out of public eyes. For the time being, should this bill pass the Senate, we cannot guarantee information security, and our arm will be twisted to expose the emails. We are anonymous, we are your brothers and sisters, we are everyone, and we are everywhere. We are legion. We are global. We do not forgive. We do not forget.
As the media began to take notice of the Pittsburgh video, the university would hold their own investigation on possible breaches within their cybersecurity, and they found nothing. The university's vice chancellor for public affairs says, "The university examined its systems. There is no evidence of a breach. I have no additional comment." The credibility of the publisher was also put into question, as many were able to poke holes within his or her statements, as The person didn't seem familiar with the university's format, and they'd made a great deal of errors when talking about the details that, like they started leading people to believe that this individual wasn't a credible threat and they were actually bluffing. For instance, AnonOperative 13 mentioned a hydrogen server that they were able to infiltrate to get 200 gigs of information. But university faculty members pointed out that this type of info wouldn't have even been stored in their hydrogen server, as that type of server was only used by students for class projects. The server logs also indicated that the total traffic within the server was much less than 200 gigabytes. As you can see, there were multiple threats within a span of months, and most of these videos come within a couple of weeks of each other on this YouTube channel. These cybercrime ultimatums were taken very seriously, and authorities would act quickly in their investigation. It is to note that when the University of Pittsburgh threats were made, it had come after a numerous amount of bomb threats were called against the university. In fact, there were so many bomb threats that the amount went into the triple digits over the course of 10 weeks. The college was on high alert. The FBI was alerted, and thus special agents from their cyber squads began to investigate. They had a good lead too, that being the YouTube channel. It wasn't long before they were able to nab an IP address that was connected to the channel, as well as an email address. This IP would lead them to 24-year-old Ohio native Alexander Waterland. Police would find that the IPs were both connected to Waterland's home address, as well as a wireless device that was found at his sister's house in Maryland. This device was owned by the company where Waterland worked. The IP in question was found to have downloaded a significant amount of data on faculty, staff, and courses from Pitt's computer science department web pages on the night of April 25th of 2012. On May 23rd of 2012, the FBI would seize Waterland's electronics, including the smartphones and computers within his apartment. They also obtained his work laptop from his employer. While going through Waterland's computer, the authorities found that it was used to visit the AnonOperative 13 YouTube channel, and a search through his phone found saved images of the anonymous Guy Fawkes mask. Some of these images were identical to the ones used in his videos. Evidence continued to pile up as they searched his browsing history on his phone, and they found that he had Googled looking for websites that can create synthesized voices. On June 20th of 2012, Waterland was arrested, and he was charged with making interstate threats, extortion, and interstate extortion involving a computer. He faced a maximum penalty of 7 years in prison and a $500,000 fine. It would be discovered later that Waterland actually had an accomplice. This was another Ohio native, 26-year-old Brett Hudson. The story goes that Brett is one of those who suggested to Alexander to download the data from the University of Pittsburgh server. Later, after sending the email, Hudson would set up a Twitter account where he would tweet out a link to the video, which was received by the administration of the university. The two would continue to interact with the university through emails, attempting to prove that there was a data breach. One of the emails sent to the university was titled "Proof of Recent Breach." The email stated, quote, "Do what's best. Time is of the essence, so you have 7 days to have the public apology to the students released. Otherwise, usernames and passwords are next. We are anonymous. We are Legion. We are your brothers and sisters. We are the students and faculty of Pitt. We are your worst nightmare. The internet is here. You will now expect us." Hudson would plead guilty in October of 2012, and on November 11th of 2012, Waterland would plead guilty to conspiracy to commit internet extortion. It would also be ruled that Waterland and Hudson had no involvement in the bomb threats and that it was simply a coincidence. In May of 2013, Waterland would be sentenced to serve 1 year plus 1 day in prison. Hudson was able to avoid prison time. However, in July of 2013, he was sentenced to serve 3 months in a halfway house, 3 months of house arrest, and 2 years of probation. It's never really mentioned why these two decided to do this. Maybe it was just for fun, or possibly some weird form of vigilantism that they thought could get them some online clout. Unfortunately, the only thing it got them was prison time and a criminal record. Let me know what you guys thought about this video down below in the comments section, and let me know who or what you want me to talk about next. I want to give a major shout out to my patrons. I appreciate you guys. WavyWebSurf out. Peace.